Hey guys, I'm back with my video response to episode 242. And another fine episode, guys. Good to hear Pappy's voice on there. And, yeah, it's a shame Pipes got the time zone wrong. It was kind of funny when he came in. He's like, so what are you guys up to? But, yeah, no, it was really cool. Really enjoyed it. So let's get into it. PT and your slide playing. Man, you must have the nicest family, because I've heard people try to play slide, and that's me. And it sounds terrible when you're starting out. Oh, well, I did anyway. I can't believe how bad I was at it. I got a copper slide, and I tried to play slide guitar once, and it just wasn't working. There's just too much noise. However, I did end up, really putting my fingers. I use it on my, I guess if I was married, my ring finger. And I use my other fingers behind the strings to sort of, tighten it up and dampen all the string noise. But, sounds like you're getting there, dude. So, yeah, keep going. I want to hear some of this slide guitar. So I'm always amazed how some people, they're playing with a slide and there's so much variation. They're all over the neck. And you think, how do you do that? Because your slide, really, you're sort of stuck to, I guess, barring, like just, oh, hope that didn't distort through there. Just barring straight through the, sort of like a fret. So I guess you've got open tunings as well, but I'm still amazed with how people, some people got to do some really fast solos on it. So it's really interesting. That's better. I'll tell you how that looks like blood. So Pappy and the Alligator Mayhem, dude. I was in Florida. This is a long time ago, and I tell you what, this lavalier mic's more trouble than it's worth. And I tried some alligator meat at this place. I can't remember where I was. This was a long time ago. And it was interesting, like the alligators there. And there were a couple of alligators. They weren't that close to the restaurant, but it was part of the sort of, I guess, scenery around there. And I'm just looking at these things going, oh my God. They were scaring the crap out of me. Another thing is my auntie lives in Tampa Bay. And where they live, it's like this private sort of estate. And I was playing basketball. I think I've told this story on the Bliss before. I was playing basketball. I was kind of bored, by myself, basketball ring. But behind the ring, there was this stone wall, and it was quite tall. Maybe it was like, I don't know, 8 feet tall or so. And the ball went over, and I'm there climbing this fence, and one of my cousins comes running out. I was like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, the ball went over there. He goes, forget it. We'll get you a new ball. I'm like, but it's just there. And they're trying to convince me, saying, there's alligators in the swamp down there. I'm like, come on. But there really were alligators in the swamp. So, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of freaky. But anyways, let's talk about tube amp heads. Just like you, Pappy, I was the same. I didn't understand anything about tubes, especially when I started playing guitar. I mean, I just thought an amp was an amp. I had no idea there were tube amps. And I had a bunch of crappy amps. And I remember once I went to the music store for a friend of mine. He said, oh, if you go into the music store, can you ask them for the price on a Marshall half stack? I was like, all right, man, can I have the price on a Marshall half stack? He's like, yeah, which one? I was like, a Marshall half stack? I was like, I don't know. He goes, do you want tubes? I'm like, tubes? What are you talking about, man? So embarrassing myself then, I really needed a wake-up call. Interestingly enough, I remember once at school in music class, one of the teachers asked me to replace the tubes in an amp. And I was like, all right, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I started pulling it apart. And I was like, the teacher, where are these like tubes you're talking about? And he was like, oh, that's a solid state amp. Forget about it. Okay, so I put it back together. That was as much experience I had with so-called tubes that I've ever had. So, up until I actually started getting into the more technical sides of things. And now, since having this little Black Star amp, I don't think I could go back to solid state unless it gets really, really good, which some amps are. But with some of these amp modeling software, amazing stuff. And that's the next progression that I'll be going to, because I don't even crank that thing up. It's 5 watts. It's way too loud. But anyway, talking about the Stratocaster you wanted to get, I was never a big fan of the actual Stratocaster guitars, although that was my first guitar. And I had it for years. It wasn't a Fender. It was a knockoff. It was a cheap like $200 knockoff. And a $200 guitar in Australia, like that's a crappy guitar. And then through the years, when I got better guitars, I started modifying it, changing it out, and I actually did what you were talking about. I changed out the pickguard just so that I had a pickguard with a sort of Eddie Van Halen style, just a single humbucker on an angle, and then I had the regular 3 pickup pickguard as well. Keep in mind, if you do this, get blank pickguards, or at least pickguards that don't have the screws in it, because you'll find that the screw holes really don't line up when you go to replace your original pickguard, unless you you actually buy a Fender and get a genuine Fender pickguard from that era. That's one thing I found. I had to basically drill new holes into my guitar, which didn't bother me because it was a piece of crap. But anyway, I did exactly what you're talking about. I put a little plug. Actually, I got it right here. These little these little headers, they're called plugs here. And basically, that'll ever focus. Focus! I've moved my head. Okay, that's not going to focus. Maybe if I put my hand behind it. Is that focusing? There you go. So these things here, you just pull it apart and put it in. And these are the same type of plugs they use in pedals. This is the same plug you'll see on the quick connector on the back of EMG pickups and Seymour Duncan Blackouts, pickups like that. And, to my ears, I can't hear the tone loss, if there is any, if that's what people are worried about. Half of the time, I just think that's rubbish. People get too hung up on tone, if you can even hear it. But anyway, I did this. One thing to remember is it's not just the live and ground wire in your output jack. You've got to remember you have another wire that connects to the bridge, which is the main ground for everything. So the best thing to do is to get that bridge wire, take it off the back of your volume pot, and run it straight to your what's it called, your output jack's negative or ground terminal, whatever you want to call it. And then when you do your little quick connect, swapping out your pick guards, you won't have any of those issues with another wire. But these are great. These come in, you can get two terminals. This one's got 4. That ever focuses again. There it is. That's got 4, 3 terminals. You can get 12, 8. But yeah, I use these all the time in a lot of the pedals that I make and things like that. Really easy thing to do with a Stratocaster type guitar or a pickguard type guitar. And it worked great. Pity the guitar was rubbish. I actually gave it away to a friend of mine who wanted to learn how to play guitar. Anyway, dude, that is a good idea, and I hope that you do it soon, because I would like to see the pictures and how you do it. And if you need any help, I'm sure there's many guys now around in the Six String Bliss community who are more experienced than me with wiring things up. But these little plugs are great. If you can't get any of these, you can't find them, let me know, and I'll put some in the post for you. Celebrity attitudes. I know exactly what you mean. Much like Pappy and your wife and a lot of people out there, when you meet one of your guitar heroes or any type of celebrity that's your hero, and all of a sudden they're an absolute wanker, you think to yourself, what is your problem? Whether they're male, female, whatever. You just think to yourself, why? Why do you have to have this attitude to your fans? I remember listening to a podcast, I can't remember what it was called, the Metal Cast or something like that. This guy in a German accent hosts it. So I used to listen to it to try to get sort of new, European metal bands that I could listen to and that sort of thing. But they did an interview, I can't remember what band it was, and they were just saying to them, well, why did you go this way with your album? Is that what the fans wanted? And the guy was pretty much like, I don't care what the fans like. We went this way because we wanted to, and we don't care if anyone buys the album because it's what we want to do. I mean, maybe that is your attitude, but don't say that when you're being recorded. These people, your fans that buy your music, are the reason you're there. So I completely understand. And yes, John Mayer is a tool, but he's a bloody good guitar player, and he gets some hot chicks. Let's get up to Sean's acoustic amp review. That was an awesome review, Sean. I really liked it. You went to a lot of detail, gave some good sound samples. I checked out the amp, and looking at the top of it, I did not realize it actually had basically an identical channel for each of the 2 channels. That was really, really cool. Most of the acoustic amps I've seen where they've got their their microphone inputs or XLR inputs, they tend to be, I'm going to say, like really limited with your EQ and that sort of thing. They don't seem to have a lot focused on the vocal side, but that amp seems like a really good buy. You know, good price and everything. Be loud enough for a nice coffee shop gig and things like that. So yeah, no, thank you very much for handing that review, and I really enjoyed it. I actually listened to it twice on the way home from work, which is cool. What's coming up here? I'm running out of time here. Been talking for a while. The Amp Show or NAMM. I would actually prefer to go to the Amp Show. The way the way you guys are talking about it. I need to drink more blood. Yeah, the way they like hire out a hotel and you can just go in there, crank it up and play. That's what you want to do. You want to enjoy yourself. And NAMM just sounds like, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff there. Sounds like it's more accessories, really. But there's just too many people in a rush. You have to stand in line a lot from what you guys were talking about before, just to, go into the big booths and the big brand names, things like that. So, yeah, the Amp Show sounds really cool. And hopefully you'll get to see satellite amps. I saw some pictures somewhere on the net. There was a link from something that someone posted on the forum once to an amp show, and I saw there sure enough, there was Adam with satellite amps in one of the pictures. What's next? The gal, Emily Remler? I had no idea who she was. I did check out some hot licks, and you're right. She just looks like an average 80s teenage girl. You would not think that she was, what was it? Inside, she's a 50-year-old, I wrote it down, heavy-set black man with a fat thumb, like Wes Montgomery. When you read out that quote, PT, I cracked up. I almost ran a red light. I thought to myself, I know what point she was trying to get across, but that just sounded scary. Don't think of me as a little girl. Think of me as a big, huge, heavy-set black man. That's right. But, anyway, guys, I better wrap this up. As to Dave and Lorna's outro track to "I Want to Be Like You," that was awesome. I really like live music and live recordings, and the fact that you guys did that at Blistock, pretty much off the cuff, that's amazing. So, guys, anyway, I'm out of here. But until next time, bliss on everyone, and thanks for the episode.